AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our faith and family values, the foundation of our democracy, are under attack. Now more than ever, it's time to rise and take a stand. You're invited to the Black Conservative Summit, March 24th and 25th, featuring Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Larry Elder, Dr. Vodi Bakum, and they're all great. It's a great lineup. But Dr. Vodi Bakum, if you want a Christian perspective on the cultural battles in the West, nobody's better than Vodi Bakum. Guy's awesome. They discuss how to fix America. Don't miss the impactful convergence of leading voices of the conservative movement, March 24th and 25th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. Everyone is welcome, regardless of ethnicity. Oh, that's how you distinguish the right versus the left. Yeah, there you go. Everyone is welcome.
Yay. Okay.
Seating is limited. Register at blackconservativesummit.net. It's blackconservativesummit.net to register for the Black Conservative Summit, March 24 and 25, Tinley Park Convention Center. And the organizer of said summit, Eric Wallace, joins us now. Eric, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, Amy. It's great to be here.
Yeah, good morning.
Great to have you. That's quite a lineup. Those are just a few of the names. There's a lot of other Black conservative all-stars you've lined up. Tell us about it.
Oh, man. It's been one of those, this is kind of my fantasy lineup that we have here with some of the folks we've already named, but we're also honoring Bob Woodson, Ken Blackwell, Dr. Shelby Steele, and Kay Cole James at the Rise Awards dinner. Of all the work that they've done over the years. You know, we've got to start honoring people who, you know, are starting to get up in age and you know, before they're gone. And we want to, you know, give them an award. RISE actually is an acronym for Responsible Government, Individual Liberty and Fidelity, Strong Family Values, and Economic Empowerment. And so we felt like this was a way to talk about conservative values and principles. A lot of times we want to talk about limited government up front. And a lot of people end up turning their lights off, shutting their doors, and pulling down the shades because they don't want to talk about that. Excuse me. But if you talk about responsible government, what does that look like? You can start a conversation with that, you know.
Sorry to interrupt, but I love the idea of the old war horses like Woodson and Steele with some of the young bucks too, because you know, the old war horses have perspective that you can't replicate because, for example, Shelby Steele and Bob Woodson were part of the civil rights movement in the 60s. So they can sort of give first-person account of what that movement was about, how I think they would argue it got hijacked or splintered, and what the result of that splintering has been over the last 50 years.
And you also realize if you listen to their story that they were part of the radical.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys that are staunch conservatives now used to be radicals or actually Marxists. You listen to Thomas Sowell and some of these other folks. They saw the light and then they ended up changing and decided that the black community itself which has been, I mean, you see it. You see it in Chicago, right? With the whole mayor's race. It's pulling people. It's pulling the whole city left. If you will. And that's just the way politics has been going these days. That we're pulling everything is left. Race is weaponized. Gender is weaponized. And we decided we've had enough. And we're asking people to come, regardless of ethnicity. Now, it's called the Black Conservative Summit because most of the folks speaking will be black conservatives. And originally it said how to fix black America with black actually struck out. And that was on purpose, to let people know, hey, the issues we have in black America are actually American issues. I mean, our education sucks, not just for black students, but all students. Yep. You know, businesses, inflation is terrible for everybody. It's just not in the black community. It's everywhere. So there are a number of different issues that are facing us, and we need to face it together. And our hope is that the audience looks as much like heaven, you know, meaning every ethnicity, because, you know, we're actually one race, a human race. So we're not going to have a bunch of races out in the audience. We're having different ethnicities in the audience.
And you've been involved. I mean, just since you brought up Chicago, and it's taking place in Chicago just a week before the runoff election for mayor, which is good timing. You've been involved in Chicago politics for a long time. I mean, I think we met when I ran and you were running back in the 2010 election cycle. What's your perspective on Chicago and Illinois politics, the racialization of the politics, the identitarian nature of it, and how much hope do you have for Chicago and Illinois on that score?
Wow.
Wow. Right. How can I strike a hopeful note with that question? Yeah, I know.
Right. Look, I'm an optimist, right? Because I believe that, as a person of faith, you have to be an optimist because nothing is too hard for God, right? But sometimes it makes it difficult when you look at the circumstances and you look at the obstacles that are ahead of you. I mean, Chicago now has a choice between somebody who was at some point you would consider Wallace a conservative Democrat, though he's been coming out recently as more liberal. And then you've got the other guy, what's his name? Is it Brandon?
Brandon Johnson. Let's go,
yeah.
Brandon
Johnson. And he's so far left, it's not funny.
It's scary.
It is. So if they end up going for Brandon, it's going to be even worse than Lori Lightfoot, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So I am praying that people are waking up and going to decide, no, we've had enough of this far left lunacy, and that maybe Wallace is just talking a little further far left just so he can be elected, and that if he becomes mayor, he ends up governing more conservatively than we see spoken the last few weeks.
Will you be discussing the mayoral race at your event on March 24th and 25th?
No, because we're a 501c3, we don't necessarily get into Republican versus Democrat. We do get into conservative versus progressive. We talk about ideas, right? So we're not pushing the Democrat Party or Republican Party, but we are pushing ideas, and those ideas have consequences. And if you understand the significance of those ideas and what it means to be conservative, then more likely you're probably going to vote the Republican Party. You're going to find candidates that line up with your with your ideas and your values, and that's what we're pushing. We want people to look beyond the labels and look at what people actually stand for.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the reality is that the story in Chicago is the story in just about every big city in America.
Absolutely, and we want to talk about how. Look, I argue with part of what we do is we challenge the church in general and the African American church in particular to vote its values, right? And so if you're pro-life, vote for people who are pro-life. If you're pro-traditional marriage, vote for people like that. If you're pro-education, vote for people who are going to allow for school choice and better choices for our kids. And it goes on to free enterprise and everything else, right? But stop complaining about how bad things are in the city if you're voting for people who have no clue as to how to fix it. We want to confiscate guns. We want to have more gun laws, thinking that somehow criminals are going to follow gun laws. Really? It's against the law to kill people. I'm sorry. I get it.
So what's your perspective on any generational shift that may be occurring? Charles Thomas, our mutual friend, former ABC7 political reporter, introduced me to a young black entrepreneur in the city who's got a professional group of other black professionals who are doing exactly what you said. Some may lean left, some may lean a little bit right, but they're not looking at labels. They're looking at policies and who aligns with their values and their interests. And I wonder if you see or you have some optimism about younger generations making a course correction with politics in the black community from what it has been since the civil rights movement.
Well, I think, as I said, I'm an optimist, so I have to believe that as we continue to get the message out and try different ways of bringing about our message, that people will start to listen. And if we're able to, and part of the problem has been, you talked about my running for office before. Part of the problem has been we have not spent any money within some of these communities talking about the difference in our policy versus the far left policies, right? We haven't. And so as we start waking up to decide, we need to start talking about these things, there are other people who are watching and how these other progressive policies aren't working at all, right? And so I think if we continue to talk about these things, I think you start to see a shift. What was Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point?
Right.
I'm hoping that we're going to get to a tipping point with functions like this, the Black Conservative Summit, some of the other things we do, like Kingdoms in Conflict TV show, and other things, and other groups, the Bob Woodson's group, and other groups that are out there kind of echoing the same message, that there needs to be a change in how we're doing things, because it doesn't seem to be getting any better. More government involvement doesn't seem to be fixing any of the problems that we see in our communities. And it'd be up to us to try and make some of those changes.
What's your perspective? You mentioned K through 12. In addition to school choice, or maybe the leading tip is CRT and the curriculum and the parental revolt that started in Northern Virginia and has spread across the country, including with a lot of black dads stepping up and calling out the curriculum and the ideology behind the curriculum. Do you see just a school choice will resolve that matter, or do you think there needs to be a frontal assault on CRT and the curriculum? Is it an all of the above approach, or is it sequential?
I think it's all the above, because CRTs even started to creep into some Christian schools, and charter schools. Charter schools. So we have to, and I don't think we can just stop with critical race theory. I think we should be talking about critical theory, period. Because critical theory has a bunch of tentacles. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we have problems in our criminal justice system. When people want to just give people a slap on the wrist and let them go back out. That's part of critical theory. Critical gender theory. I mean, some of the stuff that they're talking about right now comes from that, and we've just been fighting with one tentacle. And I think it's time we kill the whole beast and and destroy it, because it's part of the cultural Marxist march. And I'm reminded that I can't remember the guy's name, but he said that he quoted a student that said the issue is never the issue. The issue is the revolution. And so they throw up all these things and say these are the issues. It's about white racism. It's about all these other things. But it's not really that. It's about destroying the democracy that we have so we can eventually usher in socialism. And that socialism becomes the saving, becomes our savior, so to speak, that comes to take over because we can't get it right. And they've used race, they've used gender. Matter of fact, NAACP awards. I didn't actually watch it, but my wife was telling me it was almost like the NAACP was pushing this agenda that black and transgender, it's all the same. And so we need to stand up and push for these things together, the black community, because the black community actually at one point had been one of the ones that was actually standing in the way of this whole gender confusion piece. Now they're trying to connect it with being black, and if you're not supporting this, then you're really not, you're not down with the program, if you will.
Yeah, well, I applaud you for putting this together and getting all these deep thinkers into Chicago, because their ideas need more exposure. You're absolutely right about that. The Black Conservative Summit, March 24th and 25th. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Larry Elder, Vodi Bakum, Bob Woodson, Shelby Steele, many more. The Tinley Park Convention Center is the location. To register, goes to conservativesummit.net. blackconservativesummit.net. Blackconservativesummit.net is where you go to get tickets and support the Black Conservative Summit, March 24th, 25th, Tinley Park Convention Center. Eric Wallace, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.
Join Breakthrough Ideas with Jeannie Ives on Tuesday, March 14th for an evening of taking on the school board bullies and winning. A discussion with Loudoun County Parent and Fight for Schools Executive Director Ian Pryor. Learn how Ian and others took back their school boards from the bullies who were pushing sexual content while ignoring declining test scores. You can do the same in Illinois. Don't miss Taking on the School Board Bullies and Winning, Tuesday, March 14th at Abington Banquets in Glen Ellen. Go to breakthrough-ideas.com for more details and to reserve your VIP or general admission ticket.
Hey, it's Dan Proft. You know I like to speak the truth and offer solutions. Well, if you have high blood pressure or know someone who does, I have the answer for you. I'm going to tell you about my friends at 120 Life. 120 Life, they're a Chicago company that developed a juice drink that helps lower your blood pressure naturally, or in my case, helps me keep my blood pressure in check. 120 Life, it's a natural juice drink you drink every day without the side effects of pills. I'm drinking it, I love it, and you will too. It keeps me energized, it keeps my blood pressure in check. The truth is, there are easy, natural ways to keep your blood pressure in check, and one of them is 120 Life. Check it out and tell them Dan Proft sent you. Visit 120life.com. That's 120life.com. You can order a 2-week trial pack of their juice drink. There's a money-back guarantee, and you can use the coupon code DAN to save 10%. The natural answer to high blood pressure. Visit 120life.com today and start lowering your blood pressure in just 2 weeks.
Did you know Pure Talk saves the average family over $900 a year when they switch from Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile? You can save $900 a year on your wireless bill and still enjoy ultra-fast 5G service. You can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $30 a month. And Pure Talk is so sure you're going to love their service, they're backing it up with a 100% money-back guarantee. So instead of paying a fortune to Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile every month, cut your bill in half with Pure Talk. I've done that. And then start enjoying the perks like a U.S. customer service team that will make your switch easy. Supporting a company that is veteran-owned and shares your values and has you covered with a money-back guarantee. Just dial pound 250 and say Dennis Prager to save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 and say Dennis Prager. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
If you're selling your home or purchasing a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Team Hochberg is offering every listener the Perks at Work benefit, which can save you thousands of dollars on your next